We want to move to the race for the White House now for a moment. There's a new election model, and it shows Donald Trump with the 2 in 3 chance of winning the Electoral College. This one comes from The Economist. Here it is. And The Economist reports Trump would net 300 of the 270 electoral votes needed to win. President Biden then, if Trump is 2 out of 3, only has a 1 in 3 chance of being reelected. As for Trump, he rallied yesterday in Racine, Wisconsin, about 30 miles from Milwaukee, the host city for the Republican convention next month. And in those comments at that rally, he went after Biden on the economy.
Nobody can buy a house anymore. The American dream is dead. The money they can't get, the interest rates through the roof. And on day one of my new administration, we will throw out Bidenomics and replace it with MAGAnomics.
All right, no details from Trump on how he'd improve the economy of those remarks, but we are learning more about his economic plans if he does win back the White House. And we want to take a deep dive now into those plans with Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics. All right, Mark, we're going to try to do this, between now and November, as opposed to just going to covering rallies and the back and forth and the horse race and all of that, actually digging into some of the issues. And let me start, if I can, with corporate taxes. Great topic, right? Corporate taxes. But Trump has talked, and he seems to me he's telling a lot of groups in the last few weeks exactly what he thinks they want to hear. On corporate taxes, we have a Bloomberg headline, I believe, he says 20%. We're currently, at 21? Biden wants to go up to 28. Some other Republicans want to come down even lower to about 15. What would you say about the corporate tax rate and, where it should be, or what makes economic sense?
Well, I think it should be higher. I think 21% is awfully low. I mean, if you look across all our competitor countries, we're very much on the low end of the tax rate. So I don't think we need that low a tax rate to get businesses to invest and hire and expand and do all those things that we need them to do. And we need tax revenue. We need to address our long-term fiscal problems. We've got big budget deficits and a rising debt load, and we need tax revenue, and we need spending restraint. And I think one of the best ways to raise tax revenue and not do any meaningful economic damage is to raise the corporate tax rate. Not a lot, you're going from 21%, where it is today, to 28, where President Biden is suggesting, that is kind of halfway back to where it was before President Trump cut the tax rate. So it's not all the way back, but that kind of tax increase, I think, is very good in the sense that it's going to raise a lot of tax revenue, and we need the revenue. Okay, you just don't want to incentivize companies like they did years ago to move to other countries and incorporate there rather than here. When it was at 35, you did see a lot of companies doing that, but you say 28 is fair. I want to talk about tariffs. You talk about raising revenue. That's the way Trump wants to do it. We'll put up on the screen something we talked about on this show the other day, the impact higher tariffs could have on Americans, and it trickles down to a lot of different areas because a tariff, we've always been told, is essentially a tax. But what Trump wants to do, he says, is not only bring back or institute more tariffs, but either lower, or he's even floated the idea of eliminating federal income taxes. Thoughts? Yeah, I'm not a fan of higher tariffs, particularly the kind of tariff that former President Trump is talking about, 10% across the board. So even talked about 60% on Chinese imports. That's a pretty hefty tax. Now, it will raise a lot of revenue, although if you do the arithmetic, it won't pay for the corporate tax cuts. So it kind of gets you halfway there. When I say that, all the tax cuts that are in the Trump tax cuts that are going to expire need to be extended. So, it raises a lot of revenue, but it raises inflation. I mean, we're all going to be paying a lot more for everything that we import, and we import a lot of stuff from all over the place. And we're going to be paying, higher prices for those things. And obviously that's Americans really are very upset about the high inflation. So that is kind of moving in the wrong direction. The thing I'd point out is, these other countries aren't going to sit still, right? They're going to respond and they're going to raise tariffs as well and may do other things to impede trade. And that's going to hurt our companies that export to the rest of the world. So, net, it raises inflation, causes interest rates to be higher, really slows growth. I wouldn't go down that path. That's not the direction I would go.
It sounds like, for use a flashback quote, I think some people get it, that trade wars are not that easy to win, is what Mark Zandi is saying right now with that. So, right? So remember that quote from the last time around. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.